Coming up on Mountain News this morning, President Joe Biden prepares to visit the Kentucky-Ohio border to celebrate the progress of a major bridge project. And State Senator Brandon Smith supports a cause that's on the docket this legislative session to give more support to flood survivors.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
6:32, it's Wednesday, and I'm Dakota Makris. Good morning to you. And, well, it's probably raining where you are. Well, I mean, sleep in, don't sleep in. Or if you do sleep in, just stay awake for as long as the newscast. You can go back to sleep at 7, but you have to watch me and Brandon.
Wait a minute.
No, they have to.
Quit encouraging people to go back to bed.
I'm going to encourage them to go back.
Get up.
No. If they're off today, let them sleep in.
Okay, if they're off today.
But if you have to work, I'll give you a 5-minute. You can sleep in for about 5 minutes, and then if you get in trouble, just have your boss call me.
Here is the thing. Here is the thing about the snooze button. Let's talk about that for just a second.
Okay.
My wife loves the snooze button.
Yeah.
Get up.
No.
When your alarm goes off, get up. Because I'm one of those people, if my feet doesn't hit the floor as soon as my alarm goes off, I'm done for.
Well, we know from history here at WYMT,
Yes.
I've almost made it late to this newscast dozens of times. So.
Well, several times, exactly. So there you go. So just get up when your alarm goes off. It offsets all of that.
We'll just have to agree to disagree on this one.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that rain. It's going to make it hard to get out of the bed this morning. Let's take a look at Line Pinpoint Doppler radar. We are looking again at some heavier bands of rain, especially down south. Some areas not seeing a whole lot this morning. The heaviest bands are to the north of the I-64 corridor, back up toward the Ohio River and through central Kentucky. But in our region, it's basically down into parts of from Laurel County through Clay County, through Leslie County, Harlan County, and over into southwest Virginia. So again, if you got that rain coming down on your roof this morning, if you are off, roll over and go back to sleep after the news. If you're not, just get up. Just get up and get it done. It'll be over before you know it, all right? Pine Mountain there, Whitesburg Mountain, US 119, looking a little bit soggy this morning. Give yourself plenty of time, though. If you have to be out on the roads this morning, watch out for the school buses. I don't think we're seeing any fog right now, but it could develop a little bit later on. 50s across parts of the region, 60s. So, again, our range is 51 to 63. I think we get about 66 this afternoon, so the rain will dry out around lunchtime, and then we'll see, again, sunshine by the afternoon hours. Enjoy today, even with the rain, enjoy today, because after today, temperatures start going down. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, we now know the identity of the man killed in an officer-involved shooting here in Perry County. Perry County Coroner Wayne Bonley tells us 49-year-old Jerry Preston of Krypton was the man killed in the shooting on Monday. Now, the exact circumstances of the incident have not been released, but Kentucky State Police troopers say after police arrived to the Krypton community, Preston became, quote, a deadly threat to law enforcement. Troopers say a sheriff's deputy used his issued gun to shoot Boeing. The coroner says Preston was taken to Hazard ARH and was pronounced dead. Well, a school bus driver has been arrested by West Virginia State Police following a crash that sent 6 students to a hospital back in September in Wayne County. Well, West Virginia State Police say 43-year-old Walter Colley was under the influence of drugs when he crashed his bus into a utility pole on September 12th. Now, police say about 40 students were on board at the time of the crash along Mill Creek Road in Fort Gay. 6 students were injured and sent to a hospital. President Joe Biden is set to visit the Ohio and Kentucky border today. Well, the visit is expected to be a bipartisan celebration of sorts over newly secured funding to upgrade a critical bridge connecting the 2 states. Our Washington News Bureau Josh Roltenberg previews the visit.
Well, a lot is asked of the Brent Spence Bridge. The roughly 60-year-old bridge that connects Kentucky and Ohio carries about double the amount of traffic it was originally designed to carry. And local officials say it's in desperate need of an upgrade. On Wednesday, the bridge will serve as a backdrop for a presidential visit and a symbol of bipartisanship.
Giant bridge, man. It's a lot of money. It's important.
The money? $1.6 billion, a federal grant made possible by the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law of 2021. The Departments of Transportation in Kentucky and Ohio worked together on the grant application and say they can now break ground late this year. The project calls for a second bridge and upgrades to the existing bridge. Senator Mitch McConnell helped pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, and his office says the senator also directly advocated for the grant. McConnell is expected to join President Biden on Wednesday. Biden answered questions about being expected to stand along McConnell, a political rival in many circumstances.
It spends a long time how everybody said about how significant it is. There's nothing easy about our relationship.
Newly sworn-in Kentucky Democratic Congressman Morgan McGarvey shared his thoughts on the visit.
To be putting that spending back to what government should be doing, which is helping people, building the infrastructure we need in our country to keep going forward. I think it's an awesome thing. I'm glad the president's going to be in Kentucky to celebrate that accomplishment.
In Washington, I'm Josh Roltenberg.
Governor Andy Beshear and Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine are also expected to join President Joe Biden and Senator Mitch McConnell today. Well, speaking of Mitch McConnell, he's now the longest-serving Senate leader in history. He surpassed Montana's Senator Mike Mansfield's record of 16 years when the new Congress convened on Tuesday. Senator McConnell has been a Republican representing Kentucky in the Senate since 1985. Here's a portion of what he told lawmakers about the milestone.
The greatest honor of my career is representing the Commonwealth of Kentucky in this chamber and fighting for my fellow Kentuckians. But the second greatest honor is the trust that my fellow Republican senators have placed in me to lead our diverse conference and help them achieve their goals.
A new session of the Kentucky General Assembly began on Tuesday, and a new $150 million housing recovery strategy will soon be debated, known as AHARP. The plan would provide housing assistance for flood victims, that is, if it's passed. Our Keaton Hall reports.
State Senator Brandon Smith says July's floods took a region suffering from a housing problem and turned it into a crisis.
Well, it took it from being problematic for recruiting nurses in or keeping people coming in the region now to a humanitarian effort.
For this legislative session, Senator Smith is supporting AHART, a $150 million fund that would help Eastern Kentuckians rebuild and provide groundwork for future disasters.
The important thing is that they do act. In the special session when they didn't address housing, there was a lot of talk about this is just a down payment, this is just the first, we're going to come back in January.
Housing Development Alliance in Hazard is an AHART partner. Executive Director Scott McReynolds says Eastern Kentucky can't rely on private donations alone.
I think Team East Kentucky and the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, maybe have raised $20 or $25 million. And when that just is a drop in the bucket compared to the need is a sign of just how big the need is.
McReynolds isn't sure AHART will be passed, but he's hopeful this session will still provide housing support for Eastern Kentucky.
While I have been loud about housing, I'm not the only member here that truly cares about it. The issues come to front from the budget and my request for it. There's been a lot of members who have come forward. They've got programs that they've been working on.
In Hazard, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, Scott McReynolds says the financial burden of the flood is likely much greater than the Western Kentucky tornadoes, since only about 4% of Eastern Kentuckians have flood insurance.
Well, the forecast this morning here at about 6:40 continues to stay a bit on the soggy side. We've seen some heavier bands of rain come through in the last little bit, but I think they're going to start to move out as we head toward lunchtime today. So get up and get moving. Slate, the Mountain Parkway up in Powell County on the Wolfe County line there, 57. Some light traffic out there this morning, not as much rain. It's kind of in that gap there because there's some rain north of I-64 and then south of Slade there this morning. So again, temperatures 50s and 60s as you head out the door this morning. Very comfortable, but again, it's going to be sunny later, so you can leave most of the time your jackets at home. Maybe your rain gear. You'll need that this morning for sure. All right, current temperatures across the state and region. You can see where the cold front is. It continues to drift toward Paducah, Carbondale in the 40s already, but it's going to come for us a little bit later tonight. Enjoy the warmth because it's on the way out. Later today, out the door forecast, rain ends, temperatures go up. But that's it. Sunshine will keep us a little bit milder for one more day. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. 6:41, still to come here on Mountain News this morning. A new study shows a jump in the number of kids accidentally eating edibles laced with cannabis in the U.S. We'll have more details when we come back.